Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Mr. Wiki Panda, and today I just wanted to kind of make a quick little message for everyone. And while it's not exactly like a sad thing, it's more along the lines of something that it should be lifting people up. I did want to share a recent experience and kind of give my thoughts on the matter, and more specifically talk about ways that through this, as I feel there's correct ways to go about the situation that I'm in, and I just want to talk about it. So, for context, this comes from a recent breakup that I had to go through that was very hard on me. Obviously, breakups are never easy, but I wanted to go into the things that I did wrong, things that I did right, and kind of a message for anyone who has to go through this again. So, I am not by any stretch of the imagination a person that really should be qualified to talk about this type of stuff. You know, I'm a dumb adult, young adult that just kind of is moving on with the world and kind of is just doing what he can to make himself happy. And unfortunately, I didn't do something that I thought would make me happy, and unfortunately, it led to a very difficult 1.5 year, difficult time trying to process the last 1.5 years that just happened. And while I'm not entirely sure that I've made the right decision in what I've done, I do know one thing is that I need to do what I feel is necessary. But I want to say that with the experience that I've gone through, I want everyone to know that always pick yourself in these types of situations. I went through a hard time for 2 weeks after the initial fight that we had. I fought tooth and nail, and I did everything I could to try to fix things. I tried everything I could to make things better and to try to salvage what I could of the clusterfuck that I will say, the clusterfuck that happened. And while I can't say with certainty that it didn't fall on deaf ears, and in all honesty, it probably did. Everything I probably said I did in those 2 weeks fell on deaf ears. And the hard part is knowing that I fought so hard for something that's something that I shouldn't have fought for. Knowing that I fought for something that wouldn't have even mattered is one of the hardest things that I've had to go through the past couple of weeks, rather. As each day I slowly started to come more and more into terms as to what has happened. I've come more and more in terms with what was going on, the outcome that I knew was going to happen, but I still fought it anyways. And basically the problems and the struggles that I had to go through and to where I am today. And unfortunately, it doesn't have much of a happy ending for me. But at the same time, it's the most liberating ending I could have ever had. Not every good ending is easy. Not every good ending is an ending that you want. Not every good ending is something that you are fully capable of processing. Not every outcome that is good for you is going to be something that makes you happy. But it is something that needs to happen. In those 2 weeks of fighting, I learned more and more that I was unappreciated. I was unwelcome. I was never appreciated in the ways that I thought I was. I was always told that I was such a joy to have around, but yesterday or 2 days ago, I learned that what I did was never appreciated. What I learned was I was never truly appreciated in terms of what I thought I was. I think I was told that she deserved more because all I did was hide in my room all day, and I never really gave her time. I never was really taking initiative into the relationship. And while that is hard to hear, I'm not going to sit here and say that she's wrong. I do hide in my room. But at the same time, that was going on for 1.5 years. And at the same time, I told her the situation that I go through every day. I told her about my social anxiety and all my situations that I've gone through. And so that's why I'm making this, to tell you that you can't always have the relationship that you want. And sometimes you think it's going well, but it's really not. But what you need to know is you need to have self-respect. As soon as I heard those words, those 2 weeks, I wish I could have taken back. The 1.5 years that I spent with her, I wish I could have taken back. Not only because of the fact that I wasn't appreciated at all, but because she said that she deserved more. She just said she deserved more, but never did anything. She said that she deserved more than some guy who sat in their room all day and went out, which not only was that not true, but I'm not here to start arguments. I'm not here to say, oh, she's wrong, but I'm here to say that what she said was, I didn't do that. But her thoughts are her thoughts, and I can't really dispute them. But what I'm saying, and what I'm bringing up, is that you need to, I'm saying this to everyone, and I'm saying this to myself too, that if you were not respected in a relationship, there was no reason to try to make it work. Those 1.5 years that I spent, I should have gained the self-respect for myself to move on. In those 2 weeks of trying and fighting, even though I knew the outcome, I should have been doing something more productive and doing something better than to sit there and to just hope that things would work out one day, knowing full well that they were not going to work out. I think now I finally have gained the self-respect, the courage, and the human and my dignity. I've gained my dignity back. You know, I used to always try and do whatever I could, knowing full well that it would fall under deaf ears, and I knew that, and I still tried anyways. I tried day in and day night, spent countless nights without sleeping, hoping and worrying and trying to figure out what I should say next to hopefully make things just a little bit better. Had I known that what was going to happen, I would have moved on a very long time ago. Unfortunately, what happens is that when someone loves you and they don't, and you're not respected, well, they move on, and they move on very quickly. And that should have been the biggest red flag for me, but unfortunately, I couldn't see it because I was just so blinded by sadness and hurt and anger that I couldn't see past that. And I couldn't gain the self-respect that I needed to just move on. And I didn't. And I stayed. And while it may have provided temporary relief talking to her, as soon as the conversation was over, I fell back into this sadness, and I fell back into wanting to talk more, and I fell back into wanting to make things better, but nothing was going to get better. I've always wanted to promote positivity on the channel. I've always wanted to make this a space not only for me just to game and to goof around and play, but also as a place to bring life lessons to the table. And one of those life lessons is something that I've learned. You know, not something that I've shared because I knew, but something that I had to learn on my own. And that is, when there's nothing left in a relationship standpoint, and you know full well that nothing's going to work, because they've said it as much and they have proven as much, you need to have the self-respect to move on. You need to have the self-respect to move on with your life and not let it bother you. Of course this bothers me. It still does bother me. And in fact, if I could, you know, some days my resolve is really weak and I just want to unblock and I just want to talk. I just want to talk and try again. But you gotta know when to quit. You gotta know when enough is enough and it's over. It's one of the hardest things you can do is to come to the realization that after 1.5 years spending time with someone that you thought was going to be the one, you know, you genuinely thought with all your might was going to be the one. You tried everything. You went out of your comfort zone every day. You know, I never wanted to leave the house. I still don't want to leave the house. But I went out of my comfort zone every day to accommodate. And I think the hardest thing is knowing that you went out so far out of your way to do all this stuff for you. And it amounted to nothing. It amounted to the person moving on immediately, not waiting, but moving on, and then realizing that the 1.5 years you spent together really meant nothing to her. And it's even worse when they up and tell you that. And that's when you gotta have the self-respect to move on. You know, there's always that time, and there's always those chances that they'll come back. That they'll understand that what you did for them amounted to everything. But in those times, you gotta realize that it's not gonna work. You know? No good and healthy relationships will ever continue or start with this starting. And that's not me speaking, as I don't have really any intention of talking anymore. But I mean, like, from a standpoint, if that ever happens, don't go back. You need to have this. This is for anything. This is for work, for relationships, for family, for everything. The motto, have self-respect for yourself, and to have the dignity to move on, and to not, waste all your human dignity on a single person that doesn't care about you, or a job that doesn't care about you, or a boss that doesn't care about you, or a family member that doesn't care about you. It's not worth it. It's not worth your time. It's not worth your effort. I think what makes me feel better is knowing that I am better than this. I am better than what has been presented towards me. And I know that I can move on knowing full well that this is not something that I should have to stand for. This is not something that I should spend more time on. It hurts. It's not going to get easier. It's never going to get easier to do. Especially if you know that this was someone that you put all your effort into. I put all my eggs in one basket for this. As for with many people that have been for 1.5 years. And that's nothing to be ashamed of. You should never be ashamed for for going all in on someone that says that they really cared about you. So, you gotta move on. You gotta move on with your life. I think what makes it more difficult for me, though, is the fact that everything I did in the past 1.5 years has always been conjoined with her. I've always told her about what I was doing. I never really took days to myself, in a sense. Anything that I was doing out and about, it was never with just me. And while I sit here and think about what I'm saying, and because I don't script these, I just kind of go off of my feelings and what I should say, I realized that in those 1.5 years, I never really took time to fix myself. In those 1.5 years, I never really thought to myself on ways that I can fix myself. I always thought it was, do this and then worry about it later. And in that time, I could have been doing many other things. I could have been focused more on school. I could have been focused more on I could have been focused on other relationships. I could have been focused on family. I could have been focused on anything else. The YouTube. I could have been focused on this, pumping out content. But I decided to use it with someone that didn't actually appreciate me and felt that they deserved more than me. But for whatever reason, decided to stay. And I think that the hardest thing is knowing that is what transpired. And I think now that I think back at it, I think there's a time, and I still shouldn't be feeling that I'm still bogged down. Some days I still do. Some days I still feel like I just need to try again. I need to just get back on it. I just need to give another phone call. I just gotta, and that's normal. It's normal to want to fix something that you feel you need, or you feel like you've earned. I felt like I earned it. And I from the very beginning, I told her I felt like I earned this. I've struggled so hard in my life to get to where I am now, from all the bullying to all the harassment I received to all the hardships that I went through in my life, because I'm not normal. I'm not a normal kid. But to learn that somebody was the exact same person as the people that you were trying to avoid your entire life. She was someone that was a bully, in the sense that your friends that you made along the way abandoned you because you were getting bullied, and they left you just to realize that now that it's inconvenient to them, just to leave you and to abandon you for someone else immediately, that hurt, because that's what I went through. I had friends that, when I was getting bullied, left me. They were my friends up until the day that they found I was getting bullied, and either they became another bully or they just left. I had a few friends that stuck with me through all that time. It's not like I was just completely alone, but I felt that way. And to realize that I found comfort in her, thinking that, she was different from everyone, just she wasn't. I should have had more self-respect for myself. The moment that I heard about it, I should have been out of there, but I didn't. And that hurt me so much more, and I think that's why it still hurts me now. Now that I know what she says, obviously there's no going back now. I'm not going to sit there. I'm not going to sit there and be supportive like I said I would. And I always said that if things don't work out, I will always be there to support you. But now, knowing what I know that I need to have the self-respect to move on from the situation, and everyone should. I wouldn't call it I would never call the relationship I had an abusive relationship. There was never any abuse of any kind going on. But I'd also like to say that this was not a healthy relationship either. It was never healthy. We were never truly on the same page, but I guess that's where I thought relationships shined best, was having each other on the same page. But apparently we were so far off base and I didn't even realize, because I was so blinded by just being happy, finally having that fake ray of sunshine. And I don't want other people to have to go through what I am going through now. I want people to know that you have more self-respect than I had, to have people support you in these moments. While I have people to talk to, I keep to myself. I've gone back to kind of what I was beforehand, and that was just stay by myself and to take care of myself. And that's what I think I will be doing for a little bit longer now. It's not unhealthy to do that. It's not unhealthy to stick to yourself, but it's unhealthy to do what I did, and that was to sit there and do nothing. To sit there and blame the world's problems and put the world's problems on your shoulders and take it. So I don't. I don't feel like I did anything wrong in the relationship, and I don't feel like she deserved more than me. I don't feel like I was such a cog or such a block in our dysfunctional cog. I don't feel like I deserved what was said to me. And I move on with dignity. I'm not gonna sit here and act like woe is me. I'm not gonna sit here and say that, oh, my life's over now. I'm not gonna sit here and say that, oh, my life sucks. I'm not gonna sit here and say that my life's ruined and that I'm going to be so depressed. I'm actually moving on, feeling happier, knowing what I know now, and knowing that what was there wasn't healthy is something that is actually very uplifting in a way, because I know now more than I did beforehand. I know now more that I can move on with my life, and I want other people to be able to do the same. I'm not going to sit here and say that everyone's going to go through this. There's some people where it's completely mutual. There's going to be some people where it's not as difficult to go through. But unfortunately for someone like me, with someone with my issues, it's going to be very difficult, as you do put your eggs all in one basket. That's exactly what I do. Friends, family, I put all my eggs in one basket for them. Now, of course, I say eggs all in one basket, not as I put all my trust into one person and push everyone out, but I give them, it's either no trust or all of it. And that's unfortunately the way that I operate, and a lot of other people operate. And I don't want people that operate like me to have to go through all that, to have to worry about feeling so alone in the world after something like this. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sit here and say that after the relationship I was like, okay, you know what, I know everything now. I'm moving on. Because that's not how that worked. In fact, it worked the exact opposite. I couldn't move on. In fact, I had so many sleepless nights refusing to believe what had just happened. I spent so many nights trying to think of ways to get myself to just get the courage to send one more text. I tried so hard each and every day to push forward like nothing had happened. And I want you to know not to do that. Push forward with your day, but not fake it. Don't fake like everything's going to be fine. Don't fake like things are going to go back to normal instantly. Don't fake happiness. If you're unhappy, you're unhappy, and you need to tell someone. If you're happy and you're moving on, great. I'm not gonna sit here and say too like I was perfectly in the right. I was never in the right. I will be the first to admit that I was in the wrong for a lot of it. But I think too it's a mutual thing. If I'm in the wrong and she's in the wrong, and this is for anything. If you're in the wrong and someone else is in the wrong, don't let them gaslight you. Don't let them push you. And I'm not saying this happened to me, but what I'm saying is don't let someone else push all the blame on you. You know, I learned something in these past 2 weeks, and that something is that if you make it seem and you push forward and you try to accept, you don't need to accept it, but if you try to accept it and you push forward with your day, you will be 10 times happier than if you faked happiness and tried to move on. It's better to attempt than to fake it. Always attempt to be happy before you attempt to fake it, because it's not going to work. Unfortunately, it's just not going to work for you. I think another message that I like to say real quick is that for these types of things, have a friend on standby. I had many friends. I had family and surrounded by. And I think that's what helped a big time, is because if you have people with you, it's much easier. Another very difficult thing is that, for me at least, and I know this is going to be for a lot of other people, is that when you're doing things like this and you're really sad, it's really hard to forget about the difficult things. It's really hard each and every day, and it gets harder each and every day, but you just gotta push through. There was a time where I couldn't do anything. Everything I did, whether it be from video games to music to going to work, I spent more time in over 11 hours at work one day. And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it gets harder. And to the point where I'm at, it's easier now. But it's still not as good as it used to be. And I think that's a difficult thing for me, at least, is that I think after a while it just gets hard to remove the images and the messages and the talks and the heartbreak. It's hard to remove that. And day by day, what you do gets less and less effective. I used to play video games to escape all my problems, and while it's still the most effective thing, it's harder each day to really think about something different, to really think about the game you're playing. Hence why I played a lot of Star Wars. The reason why I played most of Star Wars is not because I really wanted to play it, but because that was the most effective thing at the time to really get my mind off things. And you know what? It worked. I think now, though, it's much easier to just accept things. Don't take shit. Don't let the other person give you shit. For example, items. If they have something of yours, don't let them walk all over you. Demand your shit back. It is yours and not theirs. I don't care how much it hurts. If that is your item and it means something to you personally, get it back. Demand it. Unfortunately for me, I don't have much leverage. I don't have any leverage. But I still try and get my stuff back. And be blunt. Don't sit there and be like, oh, okay, I'll give you more time. No. If they give excuses, call them out on their bullshit. That's what I did. And you know what's weird? Their tune usually will change immediately if you call them out or you call their bluff. The best thing you can do is say, okay, leave it on your porch, I'll come get it. You know, because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to want you to come over to grab their stuff. So magically, it's going to be like, oh, that's not a problem. Strange how that works, right? Don't take shit. I think the last point I'm going to make before I end it here is don't let them give you shit. Don't let them control you like I was controlled for that 2 weeks. Well, they may not be exactly sitting there and texting you and telling you, but you know deep down that they want you to still text you. Or if, you know, you, God forbid, are the person doing this, you're going to want them to text you. Because what you want is you want that leverage. You want to keep up that leverage knowing that, yes, I still have him on this leash. And while, again, I'm not saying that's what happened to me, I'm just saying that in general. But one thing I do want to say, though, is if you've had enough of talking to them, don't be afraid to block them or shut them out completely. It is okay to be an asshole. If they have truly hurt you, if they have truly shown that they show no remorse and they don't care, and that they are moving on, you know, they say that, oh, I'm moving on, you know, for example, I deserve better. Don't be afraid to be an asshole. Don't go and harass them. But if they text you first, don't be afraid to be an asshole and either tell them to go away, to fuck off, or what you can do, and my favorite thing is be nice. That is the best, because sometimes they'll text you to try to get a rise out of you. Just be like, oh yeah, this is why I left you, right? As like just another way of like showing you like, oh, you're in the wrong, you know, I'm in the right, you're in the wrong. The best thing you can do is, if you really want to get back at them, is just be nice. You don't have to like them. I'm not saying you have to like them. What I'm saying is just be nice. And being nice is, like, especially when someone's trying to make you angry, can be the most frustrating thing ever. Because if they're trying to make you angry, they're not going to want to sit there and talk to you. You know, you don't make conversation. Obviously, don't say, oh, how's the weather? You know, like, I mean, and don't text them first. Jesus Christ, that is the worst thing you can do. Because that's only going to make you want them to text you back. And then either A, you look like a dick, like because you're just being an asshole to them. But the best thing you can do to be an asshole is just be nice. Just be respectful. I mean, you don't have to, like, ask them about their day or what they're doing. But I mean, more than the lines of, like, just if they respond to you, give them the nicest text that you can fake. Now, this is not one that you should do if you are hurting. This is after. Like, if afterwards, all said and done, and you've moved on, and that you can't be hurt anymore, and they start texting you again, then you can start texting them. But if you're still hurting, like, if you are still hurting, you know, don't do that. Obviously, don't go text them if you're hurting because you just broke up. No, don't do that. I'm not saying that you should text them if you're hurting. I'm saying that afterwards, like, you know, a month afterwards, if you're still just, if now you're ready to move on, and like you've moved on and you don't care about them anymore, that's when the best way you can be an asshole is to be nice. And I think, I don't agree, again, I'm not saying that you should go harass them, but what I'm saying is, like, if they text you a month after and you're officially done, like, you're done, you moved on, and you couldn't care less about them, be nice. Because they're gonna either text you, because they're either coming back to you, because now they're like, oh, my life's miserable now, or they're doing it to be a jerk and to try to get another rise out of you. It's happened to me before. I mean, not now, but it's happened to me before. And the best thing you can do is just be nice. Just be nice. And I think, and again, I don't think you should be doing that, you know, as soon as you break up. But I mean, like, give it some time and just be nice. But again, that's just to get back at them. That's not really a way to, like, make yourself feel better. So again, I probably wouldn't, just if you're trying to make yourself feel better. I think one last thing I'm gonna touch on is just kind of just is the point of moving on, and that is don't text them. Big fucking whoop, right? The biggest thing is don't text them. Don't go out of your way to talk to them. If they call you, ignore it. If they text you, ignore it. The best thing you can do is block them. Again, unfortunately, I didn't do this, and I did not block them. And you can only imagine how that went for someone like me. But luckily, I had people to surround myself where it kind of counteracted that. But again, don't text them. Like, fresh out of it, if they start trying to talk to you, don't text them. I know what I'm saying is very, like, contradictory, but when I'm saying text them to be an asshole and just be nice, that is, again, I want to preface, that is after. That is after that all said and done, and you feel better, and you couldn't care less about her anymore, and you were perfectly fine. Like, she does not hurt you anymore, this breakup doesn't hurt you anymore, then yes. But when it still hurts, don't talk to them. One, that you will show that you still are holding on, and that can make it more difficult for you because it makes it easier for them. Or two, you can just hurt yourself just by even talking to them. Like, you could have a full-on conversation. Like, it's not one-sided. They want to talk to you too, and you want to talk to them, but it can still hurt you. And even if you're having a good old conversation about the fucking weather, it's going to hurt you because it's going to remind you of the days where you could talk normally and the days that you were talking normally. I want to talk about one of my biggest, because like sometimes you'll like think back at old memories. I think my biggest one, and the one I think about more, and unfortunately I think about it every time I listen to Halo music, of all fucking things, is the first time that you mate. That is the biggest memory that you will come back to. Because it kind of shows like where everything went right and then where everything went wrong. I'm getting messages. Hang on, let me check these. Hi studios, welcome back. Welcome back to my PSA about how to deal with life. But anyways, I think I don't know where to end it. Just have self-respect. Do it. You at the end of the day, though, you are your own person. You know how you heal best. You know how things affect you best. You know how things affect you the worst. You know how things hurt you or help you or make you feel better, make you feel worse. And you are your own person. If you truly feel, and I mean truly feel, that the relationship that just ended, whether by your hands or theirs, and you really feel like it shouldn't be over, then fight for it. And if you truly believe that this is the only way you can go, then fight as fucking hard as you can. If you feel that there's an ounce of doubt within you that this is what you want, leave. If you feel like this is going to work, that you are 100% dead set that this is the woman that you, or woman or man, or it or whatever, this is what you want, fight as hard as you can. I'm gonna say it. Fight. If you really feel, if you really feel that this is what you want, then you need to fight for it. If you have an ounce of doubt, though, or if they've hurt you, if they've hurt you at all, don't do it. Maybe one day, when this all blows over, maybe you can talk. But have some fucking dignity for yourself. For my sake. Do what I couldn't do and have some dignity. Do what I couldn't do and do what you should have done from the very fucking beginning. The moment that you heard that she moved on. And that is to leave. That is to leave and to never look back. That is to leave, never look back, and come out a happier person. Because you know what? That is not what I did. And I regret it every fucking day. Because I've been so hurt. I have been hurt. I am going to continue to be hurt because guess what I didn't do? I didn't follow my heart. And I didn't see that I had enough human dignity and self-respect to to move on and to make myself a better person. And you know what? I should have done that from the very beginning. So if they hurt you at all, or if you know that they've moved on, have some fucking dignity. There are always other people out there. There are always people out there that will actually care about you. There are 7 billion people in the world, and you're going to sit here and tell me that they are the only one. If you do, you're fucking crazy. Do what I could not. And have some fucking self-respect for yourself. There are 7 billion people in that world. More than 7 billion people in that world. There is no way, there is never just one person that will care about you. Take some time. Let the dust settle and brush yourself off. Pick yourself back up as long as that needs to be. And know that you are a fucking champion. Because you finally saw the flaws through that relationship. You finally saw and lifted the fucking pink veil, the purple veil. Or the veil, whatever it's called. I don't know that. You are the most important person in this world. You are. Just like everyone is their own most important person in the world. No one should matter as much to you as you do yourself. So when something is hurting you, don't worry about how they feel. Worry about how you feel. There will be times in life where you need to be selfless. There are times in life where you don't need to worry about yourself. But when you are hurting and you are in a bad situation, you are the only person that matters. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please leave a like. Actually, you know what? Don't. It doesn't matter. This is a message to everyone. It doesn't matter who this is. It doesn't matter who you are, how old you are, what ethnicity, what race, I think it's in place, what location you're in, marital status, it doesn't matter. Everyone deserves to have their self-respect. Everyone deserves to feel wanted in this world. You just gotta dig deep, find the human dignity that you know you have, find your dignity, find your respect, and push on. I want to thank you so much for watching. Stay awesome, stay fresh, and make sure you stay you. Peace out.